In this video, we're going to go through and set up the Android developer tools on a Mac. Now, if you're running a Windows machine, you'll want to refer to the Windows section of this course, where I actually go through and show you how to set it up on a Windows machine. With that said, if you're on a Mac, let's continue. Let's go ahead and download the Android developer tools for the Mac. I'm going to do a search for Android developer tools download. Oops. I'm going to click on the first link, which would be Android SDK. Developer.android.com will be the site we want to go to. That's the official site. Now, when you get there, there's all sorts of other things which you can look at later, information on downloading it and so forth. All we really need to do at this point is actually download it. You can click on this button here. That will change depending whether you're on a Mac or a Windows. And the website will automatically figure out what platform you're on. So in this case, I'm on a Mac. It's obviously telling me I'm going to download the Android SDK, the Android developer tools, same thing. I'll scroll down, click on the button that I agree with the terms and conditions, and we click on download Eclipse ADT with the Android SDK for Mac. A bit of a mouthful, but essentially they're the tools that we need to be able to develop apps for the Android platform. Okay, so at this stage, it's downloading a rather big zip file. You can see it's about 320 megabytes. So depending on the speed of your internet connection, it may take a while. Okay, you can see it's downloaded. What we want to do first, before we unzip that file, we want to create a new folder. So I'm going to go to my Finder, and I'm going to create a new folder on my computer called Developer. Now you can call this whatever you like, but essentially this is going to be where I put all the Android tools, plus the applications we're going to be learning to develop in this course, all within that one folder structure. So I've created that folder, called it Developer. I'm now going to drag it over to my favorites over here on the Finder or in Finder. And I've now got the ability to quickly navigate to that folder whenever I want access to those files. So I'm going to go back now to my download folder. And that's where I've downloaded my zip file. So after that's downloaded, take a copy of that. I'm going to go back to my developer folder and I'm going to paste it. Now I'm going to double click this to unzip it. Then once we've unzipped it, we can delete it from this location because we won't need that zip file any longer. Now what I'm going to do now is double click that new folder to go into that folder. That creates two folders, Eclipse, or shows you two folders, Eclipse and SDK. We want to double click into the Eclipse folder. Now that's got various files that are used by the Android developer tools. What we want to do is double click the Eclipse program, and you may or may not get this message that's come up. You know, if you've already run Java applications in the past on your Mac, you probably won't see this message, but in my case, because I haven't done that, it's asking me, do I want to install a Java SE runtime? SE stands for Standard Edition, so we do want to do that. So we're going to click on Install. Now you may get a slightly different looking message depending on the operating system. I can tell you under the OS X 10.10 Yosemite, the message is slightly different. I think you have to click More Information, and from there you've got a link to download the Java Standard Edition version 6. The bottom line is you'll need to install that in order to run Eclipse anyway, so make sure you do that. And again, this will be a once only process. Once this is completed, you won't need to do this, and subsequent times when you click into Eclipse, it will automatically start. Now secondly, the first time you load an app on a computer that you've downloaded or on your computer, it will ask you, are you sure you want to open it? And that's just for security purposes. So you'll click on Open just to open it, then it won't ask for that again. But there's one other thing that may come up, and I just want to point that out before we talk about the workspace. I'm going to go into, click on the Apple icon, click on System Preferences, and I want to go into security, because what may happen is you might be prompted, or the computer may come up and say you cannot run this program because it hasn't got the appropriate identification or the appropriate security. If that happens, go into System Preferences as I've just done, then click on Security, and make sure General is clicked. And there'll be two options at this point. We can either click on this button here to unlock it and enter your password. And you can click on Anywhere, and that will enable you to run the program. But as you can see, it does come up on the screen and say, look, by doing this, you're making your Mac potentially less secure, because it means that there'll be no checking of any application anytime you download them. But the other option is the way that the Mac works. If you click on a program that hasn't got sufficient permission, it will over here on the right hand side show you a little option where you can run it. So you can sort of say run anyway. So what I suggest you do, if you do get a security error message and Eclipse doesn't open for you, come into the area we're at now, with General under Security, and click on Open Anyway, and that will enable you to open the app and run that normally. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as it was and just close it down and go back to Eclipse.